Hi, everyone, and welcome to Red Feather's YouTube. I'm Crystal Manera, the director of Red Feather, and I'm so excited to be joined today by Amy Zerner and Monte Farber. They are a prolific husband and wife writer and illustrator duo that have authored over 50 books in the mind, body, spirit space that have gone to millions of happy readers, helping them along their spiritual path. Monte is often the words of these. Amy provides the beautiful illustrations, and together they just make beautiful mind, body, spirit titles come to life. So, Amy and Monte, we are so excited to have you on today. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you,
Thank you,
Crystal.
Crystal.
It's such a pleasure to work with you, and I love how the Crystal Spirit Talking Board came out.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful.
Thank you. I was so excited to have the opportunity to work on this. As discussed, this was one of the very first products that I had the chance to develop as I was getting onboarded into the Shipper team and now over to the Red Feather team. So it was really exciting to have the chance to dive in with some of my product development experience, and special to me too, because of course, your Dex was one of the very first ones that I ever picked up when I was just starting out with this 25 plus years ago. So a lot of fun for me as well to be able to bring it back around and have the opportunity to work with you now. So thanks.
Our pleasure. Yeah, that's the Enchanted Tarot you're talking about. Amy's
It was.
legendary masterpiece.
I remember seeing it and just falling in love with Amy's art caught my eye like from across the room. And I just loved how unique and detailed it was,
It,
how very different from the Rider-Waite-Smith, which was, pretty much the only other deck that I'd seen at that point. And I just fell in love with it. And obviously, millions of other readers have fallen in love with it as well. And I know they're going to fall in love with this latest iteration too.
Thank you. Well, we do what we love, what we like to use, what turns us on and excites us, and what triggers our spirituality, our intuition. So there are all kinds of tools and ways to access that, through the cards, which was our original way, through astrology, through all the different oracles. And now the Crystal Spirit Talking Board is very different because you came up with a way that we could do the board without it being a board. That
Right.
that's a new material and it glides so easy, which is the key, right? That it works, that the planchette glides over it so that it has that ease of use. And our other, we have done other talking boards, and they, since 1993, we had the Psychic Circle, and we got the original idea for that on the Ouija board that we found in the thrift shop. So there's a
Mm.
long story where you can get creative ideas. It gave us the idea for karma cards. This original session that we did, it gave us the idea to do the psychic circle. And a lot of our projects come to us through the use of our own tools. So it tells us what the next thing we want to do is.
Yeah, and the talking board goes back to Pythagoras. There's talk that he had his own version. And things like The Changing Light at Sandover, which is this incredibly long prize-winning award poem, I think written by Merrill,
Yeah.
and it was written on a talking board, and said it. The author said it at the very beginning. So it's not a toy, but it's a wonderful tool. It's a spiritual power tool, just like it says.
Is, and I love the beautiful light healing element that you bring to the spirit board model with this, right? So you bring up a great point that spirit boards have been in use for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Yes.
In recent history, right, people tend to think, oh, the Ouija board, it's gotten that very spooky kind of connotation. But
Oh,
the Crystal Spirit Talking Board really takes actually more of an original stance on this. So, I mean,
Yes.
what more can you tell us about the board itself, and what are we interacting with here?
so there's different theories about how it works. It's similar to dowsing or using a pendulum. Uh, One term for it is called radiesthesia, which is how we connect to energy, the sensitivity to beyond ourselves, to different auras, because everything has energy, plants, rocks, crystals.
And how does our thoughts translate to our hands and our body and walking around?
I mean, skeptics would say that you're controlling it, controlling the planchette or the pendulum, which is a similar tool. But skeptics, they always are naysayers. But you have to have a personal experience and an open mind. And our book unlike the Ouija board, you were kind of on your own. There were no instructions, and that gave a spooky aspect to it too, because people would be drunk or teenagers would be playing with their, at pajama parties, and they'd all get woo, what's going on. But we have ritual. It really is a ritual. It's a timeout. It's a spiritual practice. You're listening to your higher self, which connects. So sometimes it's a spirit guide that can come through. Sometimes it's your higher self that's coming through with directions. And I mean, we've had so many letters over the years of people talking to their pets and talking to their loved ones. And in this case, we have the option of tuning into the crystal world, the world of crystals, because crystals all are very individual and have messages and meanings, and crystals are very popular now. And I'm sure you've published lots of books about it. But in this particular case, it's sort of like you can ask, what crystal do I need to use today? I'm wearing amber. I thought that's the message I got to wear. And they all have particular meanings and particular energies and frequencies. And you can get a message like that. It also has the phases of the moon. You might want to show it while I talk
Pull up
about
the
it.
board and see.
Yeah. So it really is a beautiful mandala that we designed in collaboration with your design team. It has the wheel of the moon, so you can tune into that kind of message. And you look up in the book when you get a word or a crystal or a moon phase, or it can spell out like the traditional spirit boards do. It can go to one word and say beware or be aware or goodbye and hello, all of those options. So you really want to take a moment to be clear and not intoxicated and not anxious, because it will reflect anxiety, just like pulling tarot cards. We want to be clear and centered when we consult for a message, because if you have a sincere question, which you can ask all kinds of questions, it has directions, you can find missing objects.
The book is actually a book.
It's a book.
Yeah, it's actually
And
very useful, and it's the kind of thing, a lot of times people will get something and they don't read what comes with it, the
It
instructions.
really takes you step by step. You can be a beginner and never have any experience this way, but it talks about what is a crystal. And one thing we included is a chapter about Marcel Vogel, who was a scientist. You can talk about who he was.
Marcel Vogel worked for IBM, and when he retired, he had 160 patents, including things like the black light, the LED, the floppy disk.
Want to put us on?
Yes, I'm going to put us on again. Regular view, excuse me, I'm so technical. I'm sure Marcel Vogel wouldn't have made that mistake. But when he retired with his 160 patents, what did he devote the rest of his life to? Crystals. There's even a crystal called the Marcel Vogel crystal, because he designed one that is made to help you focus your attention, because he understood that crystals are not woo woo, they're sort of wow wow. They're powerful. They're not only are they in every watch and liquid crystal diode LCD,
And television transmissions and
everywhere.
lasers and
Yeah, they're used for tuning, and they help you tune in and to tune up yourself. And that's what the boards are about, because it's not spooky. It's all about getting in touch with your own power and using it to make your life better.
and you can experiment by doing it yourself. I like to do it by myself because my energy is overpowering, right?
So true.
But sometimes, you have to experiment with another partner, and the energy is always a little different. Sometimes it'll move slowly, and sometimes it'll go wild, with excitement, because that's something it really wants to tell you. Now we all want to get messages from the other side, right?
Mm.
So sometimes we have to experiment with how we can receive that. And sometimes it's one word. How are we going to interpret that one word? And sometimes it spells in shorthand, so sometimes it'll go to X's for kisses, or some other shorthand that you have to kind of interpret. But we suggest that you keep a journal of the answers, because you might not know what it means right now, but it'll become clearer.
And that's what's so great about the crystals, because all you have to do is have it move on to the crystal, and then you look up what that crystal means. And in the meaning of that crystal,
I love the planchette.
yeah, it's like a crystal itself.
Thank you.
And it can show with the pointer, it can point to the word or the letter or the number, or it can show through this little circle. It's beautifully designed.
And it
A
has
glide. And we know, Crystal, that sometimes it takes a while to get to the resource to make everything perfect. And we all experiment and make sure it works and glides and has a very wonderful energy.
Yeah, it's sort of the ancient technique used with the most modern technology so that it actually folds up and goes in a box without having ridges in it that impede the movement of the planchette. This thing is so smooth and wonderful.
Thank you, and that's what we were aiming for. Boy, I wish I had $1 for every time I'd said to someone on our team or in the production side, explaining how important it was that it had to glide smoothly. I can't even tell you my anticipation the first time that I finally got my hands on the real planchet and the board and got to try them together, because sometimes in production, you think things are gonna turn out one way, and it just turns out to be a little something different when it's finally in your hands, but
Oh
we were
yeah.
so thrilled to feel it. And you know who actually turned out to be one of our biggest cheerleaders for the project was my daughter, who is just turning 9. I brought home the sample for us to try as we were experimenting with it, and she fell absolutely in love with the crystal spirit board, and has spent,
Oh,
I kid you not, hours playing with this
Oh, it
with
makes me
it.
happy.
that's
It's
amazing.
I think we were kind of born, with the mystical nature. But I know I was, and was always interested in things like that since I was little, doing ESP experiments. And if you have an encouraging, nurturing mother to to not put
certainly is.
the kibosh on it.
Although I've perhaps created a small monster now, because when she realized that we were gonna be going on vacation during Mercury retrograde, she almost threw something at me. It's
I think that generation is very cool because we know a 10-year-old who's so smart about astrology and she loves the cards and she's absorbed so much information.
the kids now are so lucky to have so much access to it, and, generations ahead of them now who have gotten more and more into it and more, accepting. So, my call out for my own personal experience is an absolutely beautiful board for adult practitioners of all different levels, but it's also something that's really, very approachable for teens or even for tweens. If you have a younger
Yeah.
person around who is interested, it's just a really friendly, nice approach, but also just a really good way to start getting into that scrying practice, which is an
Yeah.
art form in of itself, right?
And,
Yes.
and you do have to practice it because sometimes everyone's going to say, "Are you pushing it?" or "I'm not pushing it," and because it's a very involuntary, subtle movement, and you have to practice to kind of discern if you're thinking of, you want it to go to yes, or so it's a
Mm,
process of kind of letting go, also.
And
mhm.
for people who think it's odd or woo woo, as Amy said before, it's been used. The practice of dowsing has been used by the oil companies since oil exploration was. It used to be used by farmers looking for water. You know,
That's
the
acceptable
the
if you're
two step.
finding gold or water, but if you're just looking for a message,
Right.
that's different.
And supposedly
Capitalist perspective here.
And in China, they would take rice, put it out on a table, and take a basket and put one chopstick through it, and the basket would be moved by the people the way we use the planchette, and it would make one Chinese character.
Mhm,
So that was the message.
And also Jane Roberts, I'm sure you know the Seth Speaks books that were
mhm.
very popular. We got into that in the 70s, and she started getting the channeled messages from Seth on the Ouija board.
Yeah,
So
because
just a long history to it, and also the spiritualist movement. Because so many people died in the war, they wanted to contact their loved ones, and there were all kinds of tables that they would make as talking tables and table wrapping, and automatic writing
that's a
the
big one.
same way.
Mhm. So what types of questions is the Crystal Spirit Talking Board best for, and what kinds of areas of our lives?
Well, I always say if you're just starting, to start out with a yes or no question,
Mhm.
because then you can really feel the pull to the yes or the pull to the no, and you can get a lot out of that, right? We all want a
Sure.
quick answer.
Sometimes it's all you need, right?
Right, but if you need numbers or if you need directions, they're all on the board. But like if people want to know where they're going to move, am I going to be moving north or south? Or
That seems to be a big question people moving.
during the
Interesting.
pandemic, that was a major question.
I bet.
But it's specific to the crystals. You can say, what crystals should I wear today?
Mm.
What crystals should I carry with me? what crystal should I give as a gift to my friend? It's their birthday.
Mhm,
So many, I mean, it's pretty unlimited what you can ask, but I think keep it simple and direct to begin with.
mhm. And you brought up a really interesting point when we were chatting about the crystals. Certainly there's that practical end to sort of, okay, what crystal should I be wearing today? But you'd mentioned about the ancientness of crystals, and it was something I hadn't given thought to for a while, right? If we're going to be tapping into this idea of a crystal spirit, right? Not just that individual amethyst that's in your hand, but that overall overarching idea of amethyst that's connecting
Yeah.
all amethysts. Well, my gosh, that is a very ancient thing to be tuning into. And
'Cause they're
yeah.
so old and so much part of the earth. Because people always talk about the new age. This is like a new age tool, but how ancient and old are crystals? And I think that's part of the attraction that they hold so much in the earth. I mean, the whole earth, sand is made of silica and all the granite rocks that is basic to the earth energy. So I think that's so magical and mystical to think about the origins of crystals and how they come to be and over so many years that they're formed.
And
Mhm,
they've always been considered precious.
We've been
mhm,
collecting for so many years. We've been together so many years, but since we've been together, we always find a special rock or crystal wherever we travel, and we have them all over the house. We have them near our computer, and they are works of art because they're so individual. And as a jewelry designer, of course, I love all the colors and the meanings according to that too.
And they help you manifest. That's another aspect of the board
mhm,
is to help you change your life. You can
mhm,
ask questions along those lines too. I
For
guess
guidance about anything.
really it's probably the most universal in terms of what questions can you ask. It's probably the broadest of all the metaphysical tools. You can ask basically anything, and once you get good at it, it's you have the letters and the numbers that start spelling things out. Plus, the moon phases are very powerful also.
And we
mhm,
say it's for light workers. I think I love that word because crystals, they bend the light, just the
mm,
light refraction. They have so much to do with light, the colors that appear in them, the different stratas. So, as light workers, we want to bring light to the darkness, which is our worries, our fears, our anxieties. We don't want to feel that. So, give me guidance to help heal this moment.
mm. What suggestions do you have for people who might try the spirit board and find that the planchette does not move for them?
The troubleshooting chapter of the our book, right? Well, sometimes you're trying too hard or want it to work too hard. And I mean, that's true of the tarot too. The tarot cards talk to you if they know you're anxious or asking too many times, or um, that's sort of a very closed sort of obstacle that we create.
One of
So
the
we tell
sorry.
people, not try, so, put it aside and then try again, when you're clear or feel more grounded.
You can try with different people, but I'm a person whose work on all these metaphysical books since the 80s has made me psychic. And what I find about being psychic is very much connected to using this board because what is psychic information? It's the information that comes to you once you learn how to get out of your own way and step back. And it's the same place in your mind where you assemble your words about to speak, but you step back from that, let the words assemble themselves, kind of, and then you are getting information from something that is a little bit beyond you. The same thing when you're using the planchette is to not really be there. It's a meditation. It's to connect with,
Channel.
yeah, your higher self and just to let it go. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's going to move. That's all. You just let it
Well,
go.
people are saying, you can get bad energy and everything, but basically, tarot cards are pieces of cardboard, and this is, a piece of rubber fabric, and
It's kind of magical though.
it can't hurt you. It's yourself. It's all from you. It's all coming from you, and we have to reiterate that all the time with all of these things, right? We are the source, really, and the channel. And Monty and I are used to doing that. That's the way I create my art. I really step aside and let it come through, and he practices psychic things all the time. So I think fear is the obstacle, right? The fear and the judgment. And just that practice itself is so healing and therapeutic.
Maybe the reason the young people are so good at it is because they're always singing that song "Let It Go," from
But
Frozen.
it's funny though, I remember being, really young when I kind of started to get into things and figure it out. And I remember my intuition working much better when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. And you do get in your own way. And, Monty, I love that phrase, a good spiritual tool should help you get out of your own way. That's a perfect way of putting it. Let your fingers do the walking, as the
Yes,
old advertisement used to say.
Exactly.
and
Yes.
have fun with it. I mean, it's not a toy, but we loosen up when we have that kind of lighter approach to things. And
Yes.
if we're too serious and fearful and let all those things kind of cloud, the information can't come through as easily.
And actually, I used to worry about people with the Ouija board, right? Because they sell it as a toy, for God's sakes. And this is
Yeah,
not a toy.
you have to have an explanation of the phenomena, which I think we do a good job of, and also a practice where you do a prayer or a ritual, an opening and a closing of it, to complete it when you're done.
I'm 100% comfortable with thinking of queens and teens having parties doing the Crystal Spirit talking board because we know we put love into it. And if you put love into something, and have a balance a logical mind with intuition, which is what this is all about, we know that it's going to help people.
Mhm. I know that it will, and I know people are just going to fall in love with it. It's just such a great tool, and we can't wait to bring it to market. Let's see, is there anything important that I haven't touched on yet?
No, I just want to thank you for the great job
Oh, thank
that you
you.
all did on this. But I mean, even down to the subtitle, "A Spiritual Power Tool for Light Workers," because that eliminates all the negative pushback because this is what it really is. It's a spiritual power tool. And anybody who knows power tools knows you don't operate them when you're high or drunk or not focused,
That's
you
right.
know?
Treat them with respect and care.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
even the board, we suggest, people wipe it off with a nice soft cloth before they put it away or open it up. It makes it more of a sacred experience.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
and it's fun, which I think we all need more fun now with the news every day and earthquakes.
Gosh, we've gotten names for songs. We've gotten
Yeah,
so much useful information
Idea.
doing this,
I got the name for Karma cards, which came out in 1988 and still in print.
but it was way before that we got the name.
In the 70s where we got it on a talking board.
I love it. Just watch out because the crystal spirit board's going to start asking for royalties if they could start giving you too many ideas.
That's true. You're gonna have to like have a non-compete insert into the next edition of
Of
the
course,
Crystal Spirit.
yeah, I look forward to hearing about people's experiences because there's a vast array of them that we've mostly all positive that we've gotten over
Yes,
the years. We
yes.
even got letters when people used to write letters, right?
Real letters with real stamps.
Wow, I remember. It's starting to feel like a long time ago now.
Yeah, well, the talking boards are the first email, really.
That's right.
They just they came right to you. You didn't need a horse or anything to get them.
I have a collection actually of old talking boards because there's some really beautiful. They're beautiful, things carved with wood and different illustrations.
And we have
The
spoken.
Ouija board wasn't the only one.
No, we have spoken with relatives on the. I mean, I don't know if this is everybody's experience, and I certainly don't know if it's, you know, wishful thinking or what. But I think everybody has somebody they wish they could speak with again,
Mm.
and it's a nice experiment to try.
And I think it's just like some people take to the cards, and I love hearing people's interpretation of our cards because sometimes it's not what we thought or intended. So you bring your own artistry to it. This is going to work uniquely for different people, and they're going to have some totally different new ways of doing it that aren't even in the book. I'm sure
Yeah, yeah.
you learn the fundamentals just like art. You learn how to draw, and then you make it your own.
That's right. And then a whole new realm of possibility opens up to you. Well, Amy and Monty, we are so excited for the release of the Crystal Spirit Talking Board and thrilled to have the opportunity to be releasing it at Reader Studio with you both at the end of this month. The stars certainly seem to align for the timing. Originally, it wasn't
Yes.
going to release until May. We were able to get it in earlier, and we're really looking forward to being able to give it its official first birthday at Reader
Forward to
Studios. So
that. It'll
we
be so
can't wait
much
to connect with you
fun.
there. Hmm?
It'll be so much fun.
Yeah, we're excited.
Will be us too. So we'll look forward to seeing you there and hopefully grabbing a couple of signed copies. And we just can't wait to hear what people have to say about it.
That's true.
Thank you,
so much.
Crystal.
What's your favorite crystal, Crystal?
Ooh, well, I mean, I'm always a fan of a straight up quartz, right? Because of my namesake, of course. But I think amethyst actually after that, and probably a lapis.
That's so funny because lapis is Monty's favorite and amethyst is my favorite.
There we go. You guys got great taste. All right, everyone, be well. Enjoy watching the solar eclipse on Monday. Interesting times for sure. Hope
Yeah.
your ground stays nice and steady up here in the Northeast. Us too. And we'll be talking to you. Happy Aries season.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye,
Crystal.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks. We'll see you soon at Reader Studio. Bye, everyone. Thanks.